I was working with some of the most resource poor people on earth, people that I used to call poor, but I never call them poor any longer because they're not poor people. Their circumstances are poor. They're whole and complete people, often people more ingenious, more intelligent, even more creative than most of us living in the affluent world because they have to be um, living in resource poor circumstances. So to call them poor and to relate to them as if they're poor is a complete misnomer. So I learned a lot of lessons from people that I used to call poor, which I now, and very soon after hanging out with them, realize that they're incredibly creative, courageous, amazing, whole and complete people living in circumstances that are poor, that are oppressive, that are difficult, that are challenging. And I learned a lot about money from them because money was a very peripheral part of their life. Their values were much more about their inner riches, which they had to call on every day, than any outer riches. And then as a fundraiser, you're always looking for the people that I used to call rich. And I don't call people rich any longer because it has the same baggage, the same confusion. They're whole and complete people live in the ebb and flow and sometimes tyranny of excess resources. I started to see that all people really are really, really whole and complete people living in different circumstances, but we shouldn't label them by their circumstances. And if we relate to them as whole and complete people, together we can have co-equal partnerships in ending world hunger, in eradicating poverty, in taking care of the environment. So all of that really gave me an education, believe it or not, about money and really our relationship with money, which is so confusing when we refer to each other as poor or rich, when we think that we don't have anywhere near enough, when in fact we're swimming in resources. That this lie or this mythology of scarcity, not that there aren't some times where there's not enough. Obviously, I know that. I worked on hunger and poverty most of my life. But the mindset that there's not enough to go around, you have to get as much as you can now and acquire and accumulate as much as you can to make sure you're not left out. All of that really started to be clear for me as I worked on the Hunger Project staff and ran the fundraising around the world.